Fuck Jake Paul.
Jake, throughout.
Mike Tyson just shut down Jake Paul after Jake abruptly pulled out of their fight right on the heels of their press conference. It all started when Tyson calmly asked Jake a few straightforward questions and suggested tweaking a couple of the rules for their upcoming November 15th bout. But instead of having a rational conversation, Jake flew off the handle yelling like Tyson had just turned his world upside down. The irony? Just a few months ago, back in March 2024, Jake was practically begging Tyson for this fight. He eagerly agreed to all of Tyson's terms and signed the contract without hesitation. Now, at the first sign of change, he acts like it's all a betrayal.
Sign the contract, big boy. Sign the contract.
No problem. Saturday, July 20th.
Just because Tyson didn't have specific rules in mind back then doesn't mean he can't decide to shake things up now. That brings us to the press conference at Fanatics Fest on August 18th, the moment that was supposed to be business as usual. A little hype, some classic trash talk, nothing out of the ordinary, but Jake Paul had other plans. Instead of sticking to the script and delivering the usual pre-fight banter, he went off the rails. He came in like he was on a mission to verbally dismantle Mike Tyson, turning what should have been a routine promo event into a full-blown spectacle. It wasn't enough for Jake Paul to just poke fun, no. He went straight for the jugular. He mocked Tyson's age, called him washed up, and even took cheap shots at his health issues. It was the kind of reckless bravado you'd expect from someone who thinks tearing down a legend with words alone is enough to win the war. But Jake wasn't just trying to sell the fight. He was on a mission to break Tyson mentally before they ever set foot in the ring. The problem? Jake forgot exactly who he was dealing with. Mike Tyson, the man whose fists once terrified the world, didn't flinch. While Jake ranted and raved like a firecracker with a fuse too short, Tyson stood there, calm and silent. Number, clap back, no reaction, not even a twitch. Just that cold, unreadable stare. The same one that's haunted countless fighters before him. It wasn't indifference, it was patience. It was Tyson storing every insult, every dig, every ounce of disrespect, tucking it all away for when it truly matters. Jake may have thought he was winning some psychological battle, but all he was really doing was digging his own grave. Because Tyson's silence, that wasn't surrender. It was the calm before a storm. Jake Paul is nowhere near ready to face
Fight playing out.
Very painfully.
As Jake's rant dragged on, the energy in the room began to shift. What started as a routine press event quickly morphed into something far more intense. You could feel it, tension creeping in, thick in the air. The crowd sensed it too. Jake's over-the-top bravado began to crack, his confidence wobbling ever so slightly. And then Tyson, with the faintest, almost imperceptible smile, casually mentioned the possibility of tweaking a few fight rules. It wasn't loud, it wasn't dramatic, but it hit like a sledgehammer. The entire room fell silent. You could practically see Jake's mind spinning, trying to process what had just been said. For the first time that night, Jake wavered. A flicker of doubt flashed across his face, a crack in the armor. In that moment, the roles reversed. Jake found himself on the receiving end of a psychological masterclass. The momentum flipped, and suddenly, he wasn't the apex predator in the room, he was prey. Jake's biggest mistake, underestimating Tyson's strategy, he thought it was all about the show, the trash talk, the surface-level hype. What he didn't realize was that Tyson had been playing chess from the start. That press conference wasn't just a media event, it was the opening round of the fight. And Tyson won. It without even lifting a fist.
You could feel it in the air. The audience was picking up on it too.
Now, you're probably wondering what rules Mike Tyson dropped that sent Jake Paul into a full-blown meltdown. Let's break it down. The first bombshell Tyson unveiled was the knockout-only victory rule. That's right, no more squeaking by with technical knockouts. No more slipping past judges with a decision. The only path to victory. A clean, decisive knockout. Plain and simple. For Tyson, that rule is practically home turf. His entire career was built on jaw-dropping power one punch. Lights out. But for Jake Paul, this was a nightmare wrapped in gloves. His boxing rise has always been shrouded in skepticism, with critics constantly questioning the legitimacy of his wins. Now, facing the brutal reality of having to knock out one of the most feared fighters in history, Jake was staring down a fight he couldn't talk his way out of. But Tyson wasn't done. Not even close. He hit Jake with a second twist. Asterisk, asterisk, 2. Extra rounds, asterisk, asterisk, the fight, already set to be grueling, was now extended, turning a tough battle into a war of attrition. For Tyson, who's gone toe-to-toe with the most punishing fighters in the game, 2 more rounds are just another day in the ring. But for Jake, a guy whose dedication to boxing has always raised eyebrows, this was the stuff of nightmares. The effect was immediate and brutal. Jake's trademark cocky grin, gone. The swagger, evaporated. The fearless, loud-mouthed persona he built, cracked, right there, in front of everyone. Jake looked like a deer in headlights. And then, in a moment of sheer panic, he pulled the plug on the fight, crying foul, claiming the new rules were illegal. But let's be honest, everyone in the room knew that was just smoke and mirrors. Jake's sudden decision to cancel wasn't a calculated move. It was a desperate escape route from a fight he knew he couldn't win. Tyson didn't just tweak the rules, he tore down Jake's whole facade. The backlash was swift. Jake's already shaky credibility took a nosedive. The story flipped overnight. Jake Paul wasn't the fearless fighter he sold himself as. He was exposed as someone who bit off way more than he could chew and was scrambling to dodge the fallout. Tyson's rule changes didn't just alter the terms of the match. They blew Jake's cover. And in doing so, they reminded everyone exactly who's still the apex predator in the fight game.
In the ring with people with the same intention, but the actuality, no.
Let's be real, Tyson did exactly what needed to be done. If he's putting in the time, the training, and the legacy on the line, why waste it on someone like Jake Paul? Especially when the whispers around Jake's so-called victories have started to get a whole lot louder. Yep, the rumors are back-end this time. They're gaining traction fast. Word on the street is that Jake Paul, YouTuber-turned-boxer, has been greasing palms, allegedly bribing referees to lock in those convenient TKO wins that have padded his record. These claims aren't brand new, but the timing couldn't be. Whereas the press conference already had Jake rattled. And now, with Tyson's rule changes putting the pressure on, the boxing world is taking a second, much closer look at Jake's past. Suddenly, every fight in Jake's catalog is under the microscope. Every decision, every stoppage, every too-quick TKO, it's no longer just about whether Jake can handle Tyson in the ring. It's about whether his entire career was built on smoke and mirrors. And in a sport like boxing, where legacy is earned through blood, grit, and resilience, the idea that Jake might have bought his way to the top is downright scandalous. Boxing is about heart, not hype. It's about getting knocked down and still getting back up. That's Tyson, through and through even now. So the suggestion that Jake, with his designer lifestyle and deep pockets, could bypass the struggle, it hit a nerve. As the KO-only rule was revealed, the timing couldn't have been worse for Jake. The internet exploded. The hashtag #FakeFighter started trending. Jake wasn't just up against Tyson anymore. He was in a fight for his reputation, and he was losing. Even inside the boxing community, the backlash was swift and unforgiving. Fighters who had clawed their way up from nothing, who'd taken brutal losses and earned every bit of respect they had, started to turn on Jake. To them, he wasn't just an outsider. He was a fraud trying to cheat his way into their world. And then came the final blow. Jake canceled the fight. It was the worst move he could have made. Not just because fans were furious. Not just because millions had already been poured into promoting the bout, but because it confirmed what many were already thinking: Jake was running scared. Tyson, despite health issues and age, was still ready to go. And Jake, he pulled the plug and blamed the rules. But here's the thing, nobody's buying it. Jake's reputation, already shaky, took a nosedive. His image as the fearless disruptor of boxing crumbled. He looked like a man exposed, cracking under pressure, caught without a script. And after all the trash talk, all the buildup, all the bold claims, Jake practically invited the backlash. But don't think for a second that Tyson's just going to let this slide. Not after all the disrespect, the spectacle, and the sudden retreat. Jake may think it's over, but for Tyson, this is just the beginning.
The performance of a lifetime on November 15th, and the universe will align for all of its glory and good for God.
Be in shape, be in good shape, because your health depends on it.
Hey, you're the one that wanted 8 2-minute rounds. Do you want to make it 10 threes? Don't talk to me about shape. Don't talk to me about shape.
Stay in shape, all right?
You want 10 threes?
Okay.
Don't forget to like the channel, subscribe, and press the bell icon to stay updated with all the latest content.